So now we will look at slide number 2 directly. A proficient reader is motivated to read more and more because he feels no resistance, only pleasure. The effect will be an overlearning of character shapes and sight words associated with corresponding sounds, leading to automaticity in the decoding. Dr. Marilyn Adams, the American reading researcher, states that any connection between letter and sound must not merely be learned, it must be overlearned such that it is instantly and effortlessly available. Overlearning means practicing a skill beyond initial mastery, leading to an improved level of performance. Reading means getting character shapes from the long-term memory to the short-term memory, where the working memory keeps information online for processing and comprehension.
But what about braille reading and memory? Research claims that tactual spatial memory span is poorer than visual spatial memory span due to the effect of sequential constraints of the tactile processing and to the restricted perception area of the index finger or fingers. Therefore, the amount of experience, tactile experience, is crucial for the tactile reader's memory functions. Dr. Susanna Miller, the British psychologist and reading researcher, states that braille characters lack salient features which could anchor systematic exploration, and that the patterns are too small to code by reference to the body-centered frames in the absence of prior knowledge or vision. Furthermore, braille words and text is rare in the child's environment, and people around the child often lack sufficient knowledge of the braille code and of the nature of tactile reading. Perhaps not a challenge, but a well-known fact is that the group of braille reading students is heterogeneous, for example, regarding onset of blindness, visual acuity, and extent of cognitive ability.
Slide number 4. Here are some slides showing results from reading observations with students in 2nd to 4th grade made at Resource Center Vision during a period of 15 years. There were about 90 students being observed in each grade, reading age-appropriate prose. The reading rate differed greatly, from 11 up to 144 words per minute. In the figure, shown mean and median values, but let's concentrate on the median values. For students in grade 2, the median value is 29 words per minute. In grade 3, it is 34, and in grade 4, it is 33 words per minute. Braille readers' reading development resembles that of sight reading development, but on a considerably lower level. There is, for example, a leveling off from grade 3 to 4, quite similar to that of sighted students of the same age, usually explained in reading research by demands on reading for learning in school subjects.
We noted a difference between reading results for girls and boys. The median values for girls in these reading observations increased successively during grades 2 to 4. In grade 2, it was 30 words per minute. In grade 3 it was 35, and in grade 4 it was 40 words per minute. And the corresponding values for the boys were in grade 2, 27 words per minute, in grade 3, 33, and in grade 4, 30 words per minute. So there was a slight decrease in the boys' reading rates between the third and fourth grades. And these gender differences in reading are also conformed with studies on sighted students' reading in international assessments. These facts and figures we've just mentioned pointed us to some questions. Is the level of tactual reading performance unnecessarily low? And if so, what could be done? This led us to a study with the following research questions. Would a training method originally developed for sighted students with reading and writing difficulties reinforce the braille reader's decoding skills? In what way would the reading skills develop as shown in measured values before and after such an intervention? And in what way would the reading skills have developed according to students' and teachers' own opinions? Oh, gosh.
The study group consisted of all the 9-year-old braille reading students in 3rd grade in Sweden a certain academic year. 5 boys and 4 girls, with fictitious names Adam, Bjorn, Dennis, Gustav, Isaac, Cecilia, Erica, Frida, and Helen. 6 had total blindness from birth. 3 had light perception. The training method that was used in the study could be characterized in this way. The focus is on decoding. Material and procedure has simple and clear structure. The practice is performed during short sessions with high intensity. There is an element of competition during the session, and the documentation of results is clear and simple.
So, the material was adapted for reading of uncontracted braille. A training session was to be performed in a peaceful and quiet environment 3 times per week. Each session contained 6 elements on 6 different sheets of paper, decoding single letters, 2-letter combinations, highly frequent words, followed by other highly frequent words, followed by 2-letter combinations, and ending in single letter decoding. And ending each session with single letter decoding ensures that the student leaves the session with a feeling of success. The student was told to read aloud as quickly and correctly as possible from each of the 6 sheets of paper for 1 minute. And the 1 minute reading created intensity and focus. Numbers of correctly read letters, words, and misreadings also were noted in a form.
One teacher at each school was in charge of the reading session and the documentation. Clear results from the previous reading session made it easy to involve the student in the changes of the decoding ability over time. The intervention went on for a total of 14 weeks, divided into 2 periods of 7 weeks each. A word recognition test, norm, reference, and standardized on sighted students' reading results, was used before, during, and after each period to evaluate the outcome. This test starts with two-letter words, and then the word length increases gradually. Students are supposed to read aloud for 1 minute. But at the end of the intervention, the teachers, in a questionnaire with open-ended questions, express their opinions of the method, the procedure, and of the intervention as such. They also commented on the development of the students' reading skills and reflected on students' spontaneous thoughts about the training.
And this slide shows some results from the study. All participants increased their results in the word recognition test during the intervention, more so than the standardized values for sighted reading. First, the results of the 4 girls. The mean monthly growth of words per minute was for Cecilia 5.4. For Helen, it was 4.2, Erica 3, and for Frida it was 2.2 words per minute and month. To be compared to the standardized mean values for sighted girls, which was 1.7 words per minute and month. And the results for the 5 boys, Bjorn 5, Adam 4, Gustav 3, Isaac 2.7, and Dennis 1.7 words per minute and month. That was the growth in the recognition test. To be compared to the monthly reading growth for sighted boys, 0.6 words per minute and month.
The increase?
Oh, sorry. Oh, yes. The increase was most evident during the initial phase of the intervention. In the middle, there was a break in the upgoing trend, followed by either a dip or a leveling off. And this break coincided with Christmas vacation. And after that, the increase continued, but at a more modest degree.
So next slide. Now to some reflections. It is worth noting that the braille readers' increase starts from a relatively low level of reading performance compared to sighted students' reading. Could the strong development during the initial phase of training be due to an accumulated need for the right type of and the right amount of decoding training? Textual decoding training needs to go on for a rather long period, and such a period needs to be repeated several times during elementary school. The length of the reported intervention, a total of 14 weeks during one academic year, could be considered an absolute minimum. Research has shown that learning is improved if multiple study sessions are separated, that is, spaced apart in time. In fact, any form of spacing appears to promote learning. In this intervention, the spacing of learning elements is present on different levels. Single letter decoding is interspaced by 2-letter combination and whole words, etc. The 3 weekly training sessions are separated by 1 or 2 days. And finally, each 7 weeks training period is repeated after a gap of several weeks. However, too long gaps influence the reading performance negatively. The recently reached level of performance will partially be lost before the training continues. Maybe this applies more to acquisition of braille reading than to many other subjects, educational challenges.
In a questionnaire at the end of the intervention, the teachers noted that this method of decoding training is easy to administer and to handle in the regular the regular daily schoolwork. The well-structured design of the training made the work easy to prepare and perform. The documentation from the daily reading sessions helped make the development clear. And the element of competition in the method was appreciated by students as well as teachers. 3 sessions per week were considered suitable for this kind of activity. And here are some of the quotations from the teachers about their students' reading development during and after this intervention.
He reads faster now, and he doesn't misread letters.
His interest for what the text is about has increased, and he wants to read longer and more complex texts.
We believe that the training has had a great impact on her motivation and reading perseverance.
His prosody when reading is so much better now. He reads fluently and he doesn't get stuck on long words. And one teacher mentioned that her student had become aware of that there is something called reading speed and that it can be influenced. And we just love these quotations. Reading perseverance, doesn't get stuck on long words. He likes to read longer texts with more complex contents. You might think we made them up. No, we didn't. But we could have aimed for exactly this when we set the goals for this intervention.
Do you remember our question from earlier? Is the level of textual performance unnecessarily low? Yes, we often think it is. What can be done about it? Could specific training methods reinforce the braille reader's reading ability and skills? Yes, we mean that it can and must be done, and not during the primary school, but during all stages of elementary school. An advantage with the described method is that it works independently of the student's age. Oops.
Whoops, yes. On this slide is a photo, close-up of fingers reading braille. The purpose of the current method is to consolidate braille patterns and combinations of patterns. It's the basics. But it can be a big challenge for a teacher to motivate a young student to this kind of basic training. Without motivation, such practice and repetition could easily become drill and kill. The teachers in our study noted that the element of competition helped motivate the students. This kind of basic decoding training should be combined with other methods with slightly different approaches. Research has shown that guided, oral, repeated reading of prose is effective in promoting reading fluency and furthermore comprehension. These 2 methods, decoding training and oral repeated reading in combination, could be considered an effective approach for practice when trying to some very small extent to compensate for the lack of overlearning in braille reading acquisition.
Finally, as the Swedish reading researcher Kerstin Felenius puts it, a visual impairment should not be regarded as a limitation for reading development, but it requires time and patience and is hard work even for good readers. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kia and Anders, for this very interesting and enthusiastically delivered presentation. There's time for 1 or 2 questions. Yes, we have one in the front. Jenny? Jenny is coming with a microphone in just 10 seconds. Jenny? Där.
Hello.
Hello?
Can I?
Yes, you can talk, I think.
My name is Eva Nilsson and I work at MTM. I don't know if I missed anything on your slides, but I would like to know if you were using different methods of reading techniques. Like there are several. There is one where you can read with the index fingers, and there are others where you use all 6 fingers when reading.
Yeah. No, actually, we didn't focus at all at the reading technique at that time. Hopefully, they had developed a reading technique that was functioning for them in the 3rd grade that this was the case. So, no, we didn't, actually.
Thank you.
I think
There's another question.
Vivian Aldrich from Switzerland. I would just like to know, do you have examples of the materials here to look at?
No, actually not. But we can describe it a little bit better if you want to.
Please do.
Yes. Come to you.
And there's a third question.
Yeah.
Please.
It's Daniel Gartman from Institute for the Blind in Denmark. Just to be sure, you're talking about uncontracted braille. It's uncontracted text, right? The examples?
Uncontracted.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
this was uncontracted texts only.
And there's a question in the back. The microphone is approaching.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It's Christian Bundgaard from Denmark, and I'm glad as a former athlete to hear that practicing works for speed, either in the swimming pool and as a braille reader. What I would like to ask you is the element of competition. It suits me very well, but of course the environment has to be right. No losers has to be created. But how did you this kind of competition which you build into your methods there? What was that about?
If I understood it right, how we work, or how the teachers work with the competition element, or?
Just, what did you actually do? What was the competition about? What was it
Okay.
that you do?
The competitive element.
Yes.
the
What was it?
competition element, that's about the teacher who was out at the school, who was actually doing the work, not us. The teacher could, because he or she had noted what the reading results were from the previous session, she or he could compare. The student could compare his results from the previous session to this one.
So it was a
today.
competition with yourself,
with themselves.
so to
With
speak.
themselves,
Yeah.
yes.
Because you could say, how many letters did you read in 1 minute this time and the time before? How many letter combination did you read this time and the time before? And then you could see a developing curve also for the student during this period.
And also this 1 minute reading, I think, added competition.
Added the competitive element.
Yes.
Thank you. I think a very short last question from the gentleman.
Okay. I would encourage and would stress that the adding an element of giving them better strategies would certainly be a good idea, I think. And also, I would like you to comment. I was amazed about the increase in speed recorded, especially that you could repeat that it was really monthly increase of 2 to 5 words, and then how much was that totaling? That must be remarkable. Yeah. Thank you.
Would you comment very shortly, please, on this?
We were really amazed about the increase during this period, and as we said during the presentation, maybe it is met with a need for training. what
Accumulated.
we say? Accumulated. Yeah. Maybe in the inclusive setting, we are not focused so very much on training and working with the decoding with the decoding as much as you should do. Maybe when the student is in third grade, second or third grade, and has passed the first steps in the reading to learn, you forget to really focus on and look at how you could make it better, the decoding skills. But as we said, we think that you have to do it during the primary school and even later also to really see that you make the decoding skills better.
Thank you, Anders and Kia, very much.
Thank
We
you.
have to round it up there.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.